All right, it's 31 minutes past the hour. Get ready for Armageddon. Did you hear? Yeah, it's coming. Candidates have arrived in South Carolina for the January 21st primary. It's getting a little ugly. Candidates throwing millions into attack ads. They must slow down Romney or the race could be over. In Chicago, we have conservative commentator Lenny McAllister, who's going to chime in there. From Washington, Democratic strategist Kiki McLean, and Shira Toeplitz, staff writer for Roll Call. Shira, did I get your name right?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. So, Lenny, I want to start with you here. Gingrich has been releasing all sorts of ads against Romney. TV ad slamming Romney for changing his mind on abortion, Gingrich's super PAC airing clips from a documentary about Bain Capital, and now we have a web ad that shows Romney's verbal gaffe. Let's look and then let's talk.
We love the dog. It was where he was comfortable. We had 5 kids inside the car. My guess is he liked it a lot better in his kennel than he would have liked it inside.
Were you squinting? That was a little tough to read there, Lenny. Anyway, can Romney survive the onslaught?
He can survive the onslaught, but what we're looking at are these polls where he's not as far ahead in the lead as he probably would like going into next weekend. Santorum's right on his heels. Gingrich is within striking distance, and now the tables are being turned. Now there's some super PAC money coming after Romney and reminding folks why they didn't like Romney in 2008, reminding him why he did not run for re-election, if you will, in Massachusetts. And if these super PAC ads are effective in reminding folks of these negative things, and then the debates that are going to come up before the 21st do an eloquent job, of people such as Gingrich and Santorum do an eloquent job of hammering home these points, that lead's going to shrink. I really think this is the litmus test for Mitt Romney. Let's forget about New Hampshire. Let's forget about Iowa. This is the litmus test for Mitt Romney. If he doesn't get out of South Carolina, his campaign is going to be on rocky road all over again.
All right, I want to stay here with this onslaught of the negativity. So, Shira, let's talk to you about that. South Carolina is known as a place where the gloves come off. So let's look at some history here. In 2000, there were robocalls that said that McCain fathered a child out of wedlock. Back in 2008, there were negative websites against candidates and Christmas cards allegedly sent by Mitt Romney with controversial quotes from the Book of Mormon. What else is coming, and how is this going to affect the vote there? How do South Carolinians feel about all of this negative campaigning?
Well, I think in general, when there's a lot of negative campaigning, it tends to suppress turnout. Voters become non-enthusiastic at all about any of the options, and they decide to stay home instead. That's a general principle of politics. I think if we continue to see the barrage of negative ads over the next 9 days before the South Carolina primary, that's the kind of thing that we'll see on primary night in the results. Turnout won't be as strong as it was maybe 4 years ago or 8 years ago. I think South Carolina is a really tough state to run. In many ways, it's a pivotal test for Romney because he has not been hit very hard yet. He got away pretty much unscathed in Iowa. New Hampshire, obviously, big win for him yet. There hasn't been anyone really attacking him. He hasn't really passed that test yet, and this state is going to serve as that test.
So, Kiki, let's talk about that test because there are some really negative ads about Romney and Bain Capital. How do you think that's going to play out there in South Carolina?
Well, it's a real problem. When you see what's happened to sort of the outsourcing of jobs and the closing of industry in South Carolina over the last couple of decades, and what kind of profile that builds for Mitt Romney, this isn't a problem just in a primary. If he's going to be the anointed nominee of the Republican Party, this is the soft underbelly of his candidacy in a general election. It's that profile. This is what hurt him when he ran for the Senate against Ted Kennedy so long ago. I happened to be on that campaign staff and watched that race up close. And that combined with what Shira raises, which is the sense of apathy. He's not bringing anyone new to the game. New voters aren't lining up to get involved because of him. What we see is apathy. So the negativity and the negative attacks on him, or Newt Gingrich's Armageddon, really becomes apathy, and it builds on this continuing sense of apathy for him. You know, I was in New Hampshire. While he had a big night, there were no crowds in the street, signs in the yards. There was a huge lack of energy. We see it in the polling. We see it in social media. When my Porter Novelli team looks at that online, we've been talking about that for the last week because I think it's an interesting view into the window of what's going on. So it's just this apathetic sense of, well, maybe him.
All right. Well, Lenny, Shira, and Kiki, thank you for joining us this morning.